webinar. We're going to get started here in All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is our April webinar. We have a couple of awesome gals here to teach you about how dealers are generating more equipment leads this year, which is everybody's favorite topic, is how can we generate more leads? And I have a couple of gals here that are more than happy to teach you how to do that. So I'll turn it over to you ladies.
So I am Caitlin Marshall. I'm a Senior Client Success Manager with the AGCO Direct team. I've been on this team for about 4 years now.
And I'm Camille Ripitou. I am a media planner on the AGCO Direct team, and I have been in this role for 3 years.
So I'm going to kick things off. We're first going to focus on getting leads through trade shows and how to find some more qualified leads. So with this, we really want to focus on stop collecting names just to collect names. We want to start identifying buyers at those trade shows. Most giveaways, unfortunately, lead to low quality leads. I've attended trade shows myself a time or two, and I am definitely there just to get the hat or the free t-shirt. So those freebie seekers, I'm definitely one of them, are not necessarily going to be equipment buyers. So some of those top dealers really focus on finding leads with intent and then some type of systemization. So the goal of a giveaway at a trade show is about a qualified pipeline, not necessarily volume. So I like to look at this in kind of a 4-step process. First is attract. Like I kind of mentioned, we want to attract the equipment buyers, not necessarily just someone looking for a free take-home takeaway item. So the way to do that is, and I'll kind of get into this a little bit more, is relevant, high-value giveaway. Second step, qualify. Let's qualify those leads and make sure they are those equipment buyers. So our recommendation is to use a tiered entry with about 2 to 3 key questions. Then finally convert. So real conversations, booking a meeting with sales staff. And then finally follow up. So fast segmented outreach. So like I mentioned, that first step is attract the right people. So your giveaway is going to really determine your lead quality. If you're giving away something generic like a hat, a Yeti, or even maybe an iPad, you're going to attract everyone and anyone. And we might miss out on who those serious buyers are. You're essentially paying to talk to sometimes just the wrong people. So top dealers like to flip this. They design their giveaway to filter out some of those non-serious buyers and filter down into those serious buyers. So instead of maybe asking what will get the most entries, let's turn that around and ask what would only a serious operator care about? Those things are going to be something with a high perceived value and definite relevance. So a couple of examples, potentially an equipment credit towards their next purchase. Maybe it's hours on an equipment demo, a service credit or maintenance package. If you're a precision ag dealer, maybe it's walking through some precision ag optimization options for that specific person. But again, we're trying to anchor to that high perceived value and relevance. With those high perceived value items, the only people entering are going to be the ones who actually see value in improving or upgrading their operation. Your giveaway isn't just a prize, it's a signal. It tells the right people this is relevant to you and it tells the wrong people, this probably isn't worth your time. So that's where you're going to want to start. Because when you attract the right people, everything else, the qualification, conversions, follow-up, it's going to get easier and become more effective. So the next step in this process when doing a giveaway at a trade show is going to be qualify without friction. So I mentioned a tiered entry system. So the first tier, name and email. Pretty simple, low friction. Most people will probably give you a name and an email address. But then that second part is where you start to weed out those freebie seekers and maybe at least find those operators. So ask a couple of questions. What's their timeline for the next equipment purchase? Is there a certain type of equipment they're looking to purchase? What's their biggest bottleneck on the farm? When are they planning to upgrade? At the same time, you can also maybe potentially give them some bonus entries, incentivize them a little bit to take that level 2 step. Then finally, level 3, the bonus here could maybe be the maximum amount of entries a operator could receive. And potentially it's having a salesperson there. Book a meeting or demo at the show. That way, instead of forcing qualification, you're actually incentivizing it. And what happens is your highest intent prospects will naturally get to that third level and potentially even book a meeting or a demo with a salesperson. So then finally, follow-up. And speed. So you want to make this process as easy as possible for those qualified buyers, because this is really where good ideas either work or they might fall apart. So one item we found that is going to work best is digitize it. No more fish bowls, no more pencils and papers on the table, filling out a form. That's really going to deter some of those people. Use a QR code. Maybe have a tablet available for them to fill out right there. Or even better, have your salesperson talk to them and walk them through filling out that tablet. I know there are even some CRM systems out there that allow for immediate capture that you can turn around and use again later. So second, create some urgency, things like live draws, leaderboards, spin to win. All of those options kind of give people a reason to engage right now, not later. Kind of an example of here of just like a spin to win, do a simple drawing. It's still going to attract some of those people that may not be your target audience, but with those qualification questions we ran through in the last slide, you're going to weed a lot of those out. And then third, your team matters more than anything. The best performing booths don't lead with enter to win. They lead with conversation. So train your staff or whoever you have on site to transition this giveaway into a conversation. So something as simple as, hey, what equipment are you currently running, as they're filling out the form? Or, hey, I saw you've got a deer hat on. Why don't we get you into something else? That one question immediately filters and opens that door to a real discussion. And that shows how you can move from a giveaway to a sales opportunity. Speed is really everything. So follow up right away after the event, within 24 to 48 hours, maybe even sooner. If it's a multi-day event, maybe your staff, if possible, can send a text. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by our booth. We appreciated you, entering our giveaway. We'll let you know if you win, but I'd love to continue our conversation. If that person is still at the trade show the following day, there's an opportunity they may stop by again just to say that quick thank you. With this, segment your leads into kind of 3 different buckets. Hot, people ready to buy soon. These get a call right away, or that text example I just gave. Warm, they're maybe looking to buy 6 to 12 months out. These maybe get relevant content in a follow-up plan. Maybe it's an email when you get back to the dealership of, hey, here's some options coming down the road that I think you'd be interested in, and then put them into some type of follow-up plan, whether it's an email once a month and then a text or a call or a stop out at the farm 6 to 12 months out. Then cold. So long term, these go into some type of nurture campaign, and then we can use that person in any of our retargeting on the media side. With that, I am going to hand it over to Camille to kind of follow through on what I talked about with that retargeting.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, so on the media side, we want to bridge your efforts as much as possible. So you're already getting leads at events, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to turn those into more leads after the event. So normally at an event, you'll gather a customer list. We can use that on the paid media side in something called Customer Match, which is available in Google, and then Custom Audiences in Meta. Customer Match can improve conversion rates up to 2 to 4 times versus broad targeting alone. So those targeting signals like that we put into PMAX campaigns or paid social campaigns that say we want this type of audience. Those customer matches are going to help us get closer to your actual buyers. First-party audiences consistently outperform cold audiences in cost per conversion and quality. So these are just some things that you can be doing. We can implement customer match into Google and custom audiences into Meta using the same data. We can upload conversion lists. If you have leads that you've closed, we can put that information back into Google and say, these are people that closed, find more people that look like this user. And if you have any hesitations about customer data being uploaded into these platforms, I want to assure you it's completely hashed. Google never sees the information after it's uploaded and doesn't target these actual customers. It just uses markers as data points to find more similar customers online. And as long as you are being clear with what you're gathering, when you're gathering that information at events, as long as the customer understands they're going to be contacted about equipment, you're good to go. But if you have any questions about any of that, you can always ask me. I'm happy to help answer those questions for you. What kind of lists can you build? So like I talked about, we can build lists from past buyers. Service customers, again, you want to make sure that you have their consent. Any leads that didn't close, we can use that as retargeting data. And then we can also use UCC and SIC data. It's not exactly first party, but it can help us reach buyers who may have equipment, a competitor equipment, or may have a lease that's coming up soon, to reach them with our ads at the right times when they're ready to buy. Why this works. It targets real in-market ag buyers. It's not guesswork. We're not taking that, sorry to be blunt, but we're not taking that shotgun approach. We're being more targeted with our advertising efforts and just helping your money work harder for you. So this is a real life example that we've seen with our CUE opt-in. We are running a demand gen campaign on Google. And about a month ago, I uploaded all of the 2025 purchasers of CUE equipment into that campaign, created a separate audience, separate from our broad targeting. And the results are pretty staggering. Our conversion rates are 4 times higher. Our costs per lead are 40% lower. So this is the proof in the pudding right here that better targeting isn't just about reaching more people, it's about reaching the right people. And when we use that customer data to help these platforms find more similar buyers, the results are positive and pretty big. Another thing that I always like to mention is organic and SEO. They're still extremely important, but they've changed quite a bit with the addition of these large language models like Gemini and ChatGPT. And even Google search queries are getting 5 times longer they're 5 times longer than they used to be even a couple of years ago. So instead of somebody typing in Fent dealer near me, they're having a much longer conversation in searching for equipment. But organic search still drives around 50% of your site traffic on average. And we see that in all of our dashboard reviews, that organic search is still huge. And people are going to trust organic results more than they trust ads when they're researching. So building that relationship and building that trust through what you put on your website, what you make sure to maintain in your Google business profiles, answering those reviews that you get is going to help the platforms refer to you more when people are in that searching mode. Organic social, thinking about the trade shows, you can absolutely use those trade shows to create content. You know, you're there, you have the equipment there. If you wanted to do an equipment walk around right at the trade show, you know, use where you are and what you're doing. Just document what you're doing to build that trust. Another thing that we see work a lot is service tips and seasonal content, making sure that your content is relevant to your audience and putting yourself in the customer's shoes. What are they looking for? What are they going to be asking? Is it an equipment comparison? Is it what's the right piece of equipment for my farm? And then in stock now, sharing what you have when you have it builds confidence and creates that trust. I like to say organic builds confidence and paid media creates and captures that demand. It creates demand through upper and mid funnel tactics, you know, awareness, video, display ads, and then those search ads are what captures that demand when people are ready to buy.
Camille mentioned organic social. I think one thing you could also do tying into those trade shows, promote that you've got that giveaway at the trade show. Get those people or encourage those people to stop by your booth and register, because that's maybe turning a cold lead into a warm or a hot lead by getting them that knowledge that you are at the show, have them stop by, and you're kind of fueling that lower funnel for sales leads.
Yes. Yeah. And if we can ever help, you know, promote an ad or promote a post ahead of a trade show and push it out to more people, we do that all the time and are happy to help with that. Another thing that I forgot to mention on this slide. So right here on the right-hand side of the slide, you'll see a bunch of video results that show up on Google. I just typed in Massey Ferguson tractors for small farms, and these 3 videos popped up. YouTube still is the second largest search engine behind Google, and a lot of people turn to YouTube for these kinds of equipment comparisons or more information. So highly encourage you, if you're already making an organic social video's definitely the best type of content because it increases that trust and they can see the equipment in live time. Upload it to YouTube as well. You can upload vertical or horizontal videos, and I always encourage that as well because, as you can see, it's going to pop up in search results. Speed to lead. Caitlin touched on this a little bit, but this is your hidden revenue driver. This is pretty astounding that you have 5 minutes to get a really high chance to close that lead, but it's the truth. Harvard Business Review analyzed over 2.2 million leads, and they found that people that contacted leads within those first 5 minutes were 21 times more likely to close or qualify that lead. So I know that seems crazy, but we do have systems in place like Zapier to help get those leads to you very quickly if we're capturing them through paid efforts like paid social or Google. So we can get you those leads very quickly, and then it's up to you to make sure that you contact that lead quickly to qualify them. Some things that we can do to help with lead follow-up. If you have a CRM system, that's great. If your sales team uses it to kind of update notes, just keeping it as a source of truth for those leads. If there's any notes that maybe somebody contacted them, they weren't quite ready to buy, you could add that into your, if you have a shared Google sheet, for example, contacted this person, weren't quite ready to buy, let's follow up in 3 months. Just keeping a rolling source of truth for your team so you can see everything in one place helps make your life easier. If you don't already have a script outline or a list of questions that you want to make sure to ask those leads when you contact them, highly recommend that, and we can help you with that. And then a big one is preferred method of contact. Not everybody likes to be called. Not everybody is going to look at their emails. Some people want to be contacted via text. And those are questions that we can add right into a lead form when we're launching a campaign. And you can also add it at trade shows for your users. So you meet them where they're at. So just making sure you follow up quickly it makes a huge impact on your revenue. So these are just some things that top performing dealers are doing differently that I'm seeing. So they're uploading data regularly. If they have closed leads that we can upload into Google and say, hey, these are our customers, go find more people that look like this. That is really effective. Retargeting, we have meta pixels that we can implement on your sites to help retarget people based on actions that they've taken. Following up fast, like we just talked about, 21 times more likely. It's a really big number. And then using paid and organic together to help keep that message going and keep that trust. You think about the buying journey for equipment, it's a long one, it's a long game. So making sure that you show up and build that trust and that you're there when they are ready to make the purchase is really important. So if I were to recommend 3 things that you could do this month, if you aren't already doing them, is work with your client success manager and sales team on your lead capture for your next trade show. If you have any customer lists that we can upload into Google and Meta, you can share that with us, and we're happy to upload that and create those lookalike audience and customer matches for you, and then just improving your lead response time.
So Camille, I think we did have a question come through on what information do you need to create a customer match or a customer list?
Yes, that's a great question, Abby. The biggest markers of information that we need are an email and a phone number. Those are the biggest ones. First and last name is also helpful, but email and phone number are the most important. We are not directly going to reach those customers again. Google and Meta just take that information and say, okay, we can assign it to this type of user, and we can find more users like this based on their activity that they're making online. Yep, so email and phone. And I will mention also, for a customer match list to be viable and usable, we need at least 100 customers on that list for Google or Meta to be able to match. But the more, the better.
And then what about the age of the data? Is it something that we should be using customers within a certain amount of time frame? What if those customers were from 5 years ago? What's best practice?
Best practice is uploading once a quarter, but once every 6 months is probably okay as well. If you have data that's from 2025, we can use that, but the longer it goes, the less likely we are to be able to match similar customers.
We did have a couple other questions too. What kind of results should we realistically expect from a customer match campaign?
Yeah, so just looking at the CUE opt-in, those conversion rates, 4 times higher than regular targeting data, I would say we can expect the conversion rates to be 2 to 4 times higher than they would be using just baseline targeting.
And then how should they start building that usable first party data list if they don't currently have one right now, other than, your parts and service department and stuff like that, is there any other ways to build that first party data list?
Yeah, so a really useful other way to build that list is using UCC data. We can use that data. I know that's not exactly first party, but we can always look into that, who has competitor equipment, and we can kind of go after those customers. Trade shows is another great way. And then if you have an email newsletter that you send out and you want to collect emails that way, again, we will not be retargeting these people unless we specifically run a retargeting campaign, but just, consent it. I consent for you to use my information to contact me about promotions, that kind of thing, getting that consent, and then we can upload it into Google. So trade shows, if we run any lead campaigns, if you have any sales data that we can use.
Your
Those are
website,
all-
form fills on your website is another good one.
Yep, exactly.
So with that lead qualification, when you're getting that lead, I know you said first name, last name, email, and phone number are things that you obviously have to get from them. But what other qualifying questions should you ask without like scaring people off? Like how many questions is too many, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good one because we don't want to create so much friction that somebody's going to close the form altogether. So a lot of times what we'll ask is, how soon are you looking to purchase? That really helps with follow-up because you can prioritize. What type of equipment are you looking for? And we can get really specific down to the equipment model. But again, if we think that that's going to scare the customer off from filling out the form, we oftentimes add an "I'm not sure" or "I need more information," so that the salesperson can then talk them through, how big is your property? What are you looking to use this piece of equipment for? And then I think a really big one is, how do you want to be contacted? I think that's really important, again, because not everybody wants to be called. Some people want to text. So those three questions, I think, are going to be the most helpful. How soon are you looking to purchase? What type of equipment are you looking for? And how would you like to be contacted? But it depends from dealer to dealer. We've had dealers ask, do you have any equipment that you currently have that you want to trade in? That's really helpful information to have. How big is your property? That can be helpful as well. So I would say 3 to 5 questions is probably the max that I would ask, in addition to name, which I will mention. First name, last name, email, all of that stuff is usually auto-filled in a lead form on Meta. So you don't have to worry about those questions being included in that 3 to 5 question limit.
And there were a couple of questions on the trade show portion that you had done, Caitlin. What's the best way to get attendees to actually book a meeting or demo at the show? What have we seen that's successful?
So from conversations I've had is having your sales guy there and having him know his calendar in order to be able to break that. As Camille and I both talked about, speed wins the deal. The sooner that a customer can book a meeting or a demo with a salesperson, the better. So definitely make sure your sales team is available and able to book right then and there.
And then what tools like QR codes or tables work best in real life trade show environments to get those lead qualifiers?
Yeah. So we've actually just used like a simple Google form previously in a survey, and then used a QR code generator. There's quite a few free ones actually available online. If you're not sure, reach out to our team. Our team can help create a QR code for you or help you create that survey as well. We try to make it as easy as possible for you to access the information and then for the potential customer to fill in the information. So another option, things like SurveyMonkey. There's so many survey options out there, but we've found that Google Forms was an easy one to use.
There were a few other, what kind of Oh, that we already did that one. What KPIs should we focus on? Like cost per lead, conversion rate, or ROI when it comes to using that first party data on your ads to retarget? What is the number one thing that we're looking for to see if it was successful?
I would say ROI. ROI is going to tell us if it's the most successful. If you think about, the cost of the equipment itself, how much you're putting into a paid campaign, and then what your return on investment is. If you're not targeting people that are similar to your closed customers, and you have a really low cost per lead, but the leads are not high quality, it's not going to be as worth it, in my opinion, than running a more targeted campaign to reach those customers. Maybe that cost per conversion is a little bit higher, but when you think about the return on investment, that's going to tell you, it was worth it. If you get 20 leads in a broader campaign, but only close one versus 10 leads and you close 5, that's gonna make a world of difference. I do think cost per lead is important as well, but I definitely think that return on investment is going to be the most important KPI to focus on.
And if we can only do one thing, we can only change one thing this month. You told us to change 3, but if we can only do one, where do we start? And what's the one most important thing to take away from this to implement right away?
Caitlin, what is your opinion? I want to say that speed to lead. If that's not something that you currently have in place, I would implement that right away. That, the data that tells us people are 21 times more likely to convert if they're contacted within the first 5 minutes. It's pretty staggering. So I would make sure that you're responding quickly to those leads. And then telling us too, hey, these leads are closing. Can we load that back in? Or, I know maybe you won't get 100 leads that close in the first month, but in the first 6 months, if you have that data that you can feed back to us. So this month, speed to lead, 6 months from now, closed leads for us to feed back in for customer match that's my opinion.
No, I definitely agree with you, Camille. As a buyer myself, the faster someone reaches out to me, I feel like that's some trust that they're building with me to potentially make a purchase. So speed is very important. Like Camille mentioned, I think you said 21 times more likely to convert if you are followed up within 5 minutes.
Yeah. And another thing, a lot of times people don't buy from the cheapest, they buy from the person that responds first. So
I think it is important to note too that we don't always hear the follow-up. So we don't always hear if the lead closed or if the campaign is doing well. So like Camille had said, let us know if we are currently running your ads for you, if they are working, if they're not working, and let us know speed wise as quickly as possible, because the quicker we can get those ads turned around, the more leads that you're going to get moving forward. So reach out to your ACO direct customer success managers and let us know, or Camille's always happy to get on a call and walk you through anything that we've done to optimize the campaigns. But again, we don't know if you made that sale most of the time until you tell us. So any more information that you guys can give us on those sales or on those leads is always super important for both Camille's job as well as mine and Caitlin's jobs too. So.
yes.
All right, that was all the questions that we had today. Thank you all so much for coming. Thanks to Camille and Caitlin for walking us through an awesome lead process. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to ads@acodirect.com or any of our client success managers on our team, and we are happy to get you guys some more information on anything that we're working through or to help you with those first party data lists and anything that you talked about today. So feel free to reach out and we will see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.